what goes up.
Oi, Marie! Oi, Marie!
Deep in the heart of Texas.
The shadow knows.
I bet it's Manischewitz.
No, lady. I buy strictly American.
Time now for spinning my dad's vinyl. Here with all his skips, scratches, and pops is my dad, Frank Vaccarello.
Thanks, sweetie. And thank you for tuning in to episode 176 of Spinning My Dad's Vinyl. So, Mom, your last Mother's Day was in 2015, just 3 weeks before you died. In those 9 years since, you have been dearly missed, thought of often, and always toasted at family gatherings. I still use your recipes and even some of your kitchen tools to cook our meals, and your granddaughter still helps me make cavatelles and cassatelles almost every year. My kitchen always smells good, almost like yours, sometimes. Your memory is just as much a part of this record collection as Dad's, because you were always telling me what you wanted to hear on the living room record player. Mom, this episode's for you. So, get ready to hear a collection of Italian memories, often played and definitely whistled around my house growing up, with Volume 176 for Mama on Mother's Day.
She said, my son, I beg of you, I have a wish that must come true. The last thing you can do for Mama. Please promise me that you will stay and take my place while I'm away and give the children love each day. I had to cry, what could I say? How hard I tried to find the words. I prayed she would not hear me cry. So much to say that should be heard, but only time to say goodbye to Mama. They say in time you will forget, yet still today my eyes are wet. I tell myself to smile for Mama. Now soon there'll be another spring, and I will start remembering the way she loved to hear us sing her favorite song, Ave Maria. Ave Maria. The children all have grown up now. I kept my promise to Mama. I cannot guide them anymore. I've done my best, all for Mama. Ave Maria. And still it seems so very small for all she did for me.
It's the Botticelli Family Singers performing the title track for this album, For Mama, written by Charles Aznavour and Robert Gall. Okay, why this record for this episode? Well, because these were songs heard around my house when growing up. Yes, my dad loved his Tijuana Brass and Frank Sinatra, along with this great jazz collection, but my mom especially made sure there was music from our country of origin played just as much. These were not necessarily the versions of what we mostly heard around the house, but I thought the record had a good cross-section of the kinds of Italian music I grew up on. I also think the title of this album had just a little bit to do with it as well. Up next, a song I would often catch my mom humming and dancing to in the kitchen.
Stasera, Nina mia, io sono notato, te lo dirò, colato dei dispetti un po' ingrato, più vado può, colato, gente il fuoco ma si fuggi, ti lascia star, e non ti corri e presto e non ti struggi, a riguardare. Yama, goppia mia, funicoli, funicola, goppia mia, funicoli, funicola. Stasera, Nina mia, io son montato, te lo dirò, colato dei dispetti il cuore ingrato, più vado può, colato, gente il fuoco ma se fuggi, ti lascia star, e non ti corri appresso e non ti struggi, a riguardare.
Funiculi, Funicula, written by Luigi Denza and Peppino Turco. Okay, let me tell you about my dad's vinyl I have chosen for this episode. The Botticelli Family Singers, For Mama, and other Italian favorites. On the Diplomat Records label, number D2348. It's a vinyl LP format, released in 1965. Its genre is folk, world, and country. We will hear 7 of the 11 songs from the album. Now, there are absolutely no liner notes, which is typical for a budget label. They tell you what songs are on each side of the record, but nothing more. Of course, as with most budget labels, the back cover is more concerned with trying to sell you more albums than just the one in your hand. So, let's see what prices this record is being sold at on Discogs.com. Well, it's never been sold on that website. 26 members claim it in their collections. 4 want to sell copies, anywhere from $1.50 to $12. Now, I found several copies on eBay from $3 to $15 and a copy on Amazon for $19.95. My dad's record is in fair condition, just a nice warm crackle and a little hiss to tell you the age of the album. The surface is pretty clean. This was one of those albums stuck in a box and put somewhere. I don't remember this record being out at all, so I suspect it wasn't played much. The cover is in fair condition. There is no wear on the edges like you usually see on my dad's records. The picture of the kind-looking, shawl-wrapped Italian grandmother, I'm assuming, is still very clear. I think it was reversed, though, because it looks like a wedding ring on her right hand. Now, there are some odd pinholes that go through the cover, but in a corner where anything that penetrated would not go through the record itself. If those are meant to indicate it as a cutout, then those are the oddest markings I've ever seen for a cutout. It almost looks like someone tried to staple something to the cover at some point. Now, there is a green magic marker streak on the back, but no address label on the front. So, I will value my dad's vinyl at $1. This next song was probably heard more coming from my dad in the form of whistling rather than any recorded versions of it. Spinning my dad's vinyl.
Sul mare luccica l'astro d'argento, glacida e l'onda, prospero il vento. Sul mare luccica l'astro d'argento, glacida e l'onda, prospero luccica, l'astro d'argento, glacida e l'onda, prospero il vento, sul mare luccica, l'astro d'argento, glacida e l'onda, prospero il vento, venite all'agile, barchetta mia, Santa Lucia, Santa Lucia, venite all'agile, barchetta mia, Santa Lucia, Santa Lucia.
I can kind of picture the gang of Stalag 13 singing that to Italian Major Botticelli in an episode of Hogan's Heroes. Santa Lucia, a traditional Italian song first recorded by Enrico Caruso in 1916. Before that we heard We Marie, spelled O Marie on the cover, one of the several cover mistakes made by this budget label company. We Marie is an adaptation of an operatic tune called Maria Marie, written by Eduardo da Capua and Vincenzo Russo, a song that has numerous versions that I have also featured on this show, and a song whistled around the house by my dad pretty much for any occasion. So let's learn a little about the singing group on this album, the Botticelli Family Singers. Well, we can't, because once again, a budget label has used a non-existent name for a studio group cobbled together to work on this album. The only information on the interwebs about the Botticelli Family Singers is that they made this album. Plus, Google kept thinking I wanted to learn about Andrea Bocelli, the Italian tenor. No. So, let's move on. On to a song I found to be just a little naughty when I saw the English translation.
Di Spagna sono la bella, regina son dell'amor. Tutti mi dicono Stella, Stella mi dico splendor. Di Spagna sono la bella, regina son dell'amor. Tutti mi dicono Stella, Stella mi dico splendor. Splendi, nell'estasi d'amor, la spagnola s'amar così, bocca e bocca la notte e il dì. Splendi, nell'estasi d'amor, la spagnola s'amar così, bocca e bocca la notte e il dì. Di Spagna sono la bella, regina son dell'amor. Tutti mi dicono Stella, Stella di divo splendor. Di Spagna sono la bella, regina son dell'amor. Tutti mi dicono Stella, Stella di divo splendor.
Vincenzo di Chiara wrote the popular Italian song La Spagnola in 1906. It was also known and labeled here as Stretti Stretti, nella stasi d'amore, the Spanish girl in the ecstasy of love. Time now for this episode's interesting side note, and it has to do with how we remember and honor my mother. My mom, Pauline, was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer just a few days after Easter in 2015. She died only 7 weeks later. Those were 7 terrible weeks. The first thing we did as a family to honor her memory was to start participating in the annual Purple Stride Walk to end pancreatic cancer. It's a national event put on by the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network, or PanCan, with the Cleveland region doing their walk at the Metro Parks Zoo. Our first year walking the 5K route set up among the animals saw me pushing my then 9-year-old daughter in a wheelchair as she had broken her foot on a trampoline a couple of weeks previously. Thank goodness I had my brother-in-law Aaron to help me push her up the big hill on the backside of the zoo property. If you've ever been to the Cleveland Zoo, you know it. It leads up to the primate house on the hill. My dad joined us in 2018 for the only time he was able to make the event. While he did enjoy walking, a nagging foot injury late in his life severely curtailed that recreation. But he did walk the 1-mile alternate route for Purple Stride that year. In 2023, we finally decided to have our own t-shirts made with a design I created for our team, Pauline's Pride. Her favorite bird was the cardinal, so I worked that into the design. That team, for the most part, has remained the same and been added to recently. It's my 3 sibs and their spouses, all of their kids, and one of those kids' kids, and that kid has a kid now. And of course, my girlfriend, my daughter, and me. In fact, we had just participated in the 2024 Purple Stride the day I started writing this episode and the day before I recorded it. A couple of years after we started walking for PanCan, we wanted to do a little more to honor our mom's life and one of her passions, the Riverside High School Marching Band. In 2018, my sibs and I started the Pauline Vaccarello Memorial Scholarship. We added my dad's name to the award in 2020. The $1,000 scholarship is awarded to a graduating Riverside High School senior who is currently enrolled in band and was at least a 2-year instrument-playing member of the Riverside Regiment and displays a strong moral character, a dedicated work ethic, and a commitment to the Riverside Regiment. My parents were proud supporters and active volunteers of the Riverside bands from the late 1970s through the 1980s. They served as co-president of the band boosters for a couple of years during this time. Frank and Pauline were the parents of 3 Riverside band members and grandparents of 5 regiment members. We announced the winner at the end of the academic year during a band concert. In fact, we'll be choosing the 2024 recipient a couple days after I record this episode. My mom was well loved. I think it's obvious in how we try to remember her. Next up is a song my mom loved to tell people that she danced with my dad to on their trip to Italy.
Dio mare quanto è bella, stirratante sempre bella, con la tua chi tiene mente, cacina tu fai suonare. Guarda, guarda chi stu giardina, siesti giù l'arance, no profuma così fina. Gore se ne va, e tu dici a farta via, canta nella stugore, da sta terra dell'amore, chiamo cuore non torna, ma non darmi stu dormiento, torna sorrienter, farnen campar. Villa mare quanto è bella, spiratante sentimento, come due chi tiene mente, cacita tu fai sudare. Guarda, guardi stu giardino, senti cesti giura d'ange, non profuma così fina, dritto core se ne va, e tu riesci parla dia, dalla nella stugore, da sta terra dell'amore, pieno core non torna, ma non me la sa, non darmi stu dormiento, torna sorrienter, farla campar.
Not exactly Luciano Pavarotti, but it'll do. Torna a Sorrento. The original Neapolitan song was composed in 1894 by Italian musician Ernesto de Curtis, with lyrics by his brother, poet and painter Giambattista de Curtis. It's written on the label of this record as Ritorna Sorrento, another clue that this was a budget label record. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I enjoyed bringing it to you. As anyone who has lost a mother knows, there is just a big piece taken out of your life that never gets filled back up. But it's playing music like this that keeps me connected to her, because there are just as many good memories of her buried in this record collection as there are of my dad. I also try to keep my mom's memory alive by cooking many of the recipes she kept and developed over the years. Recipes she used to cook for us growing up. I love reading some of the notes, like drink the rest of the wine at the end of her sauce recipe. Sometimes mothers like this don't get enough credit. So to give my mom some credit, here's a part of what I wrote for her obituary. She helped make sure elections ran smoothly in her Painesville Township precinct, and the Riverside High School marching band uniforms were buttoned properly. She was a soccer mom before the term became vogue. Pauline was a taxi service, coach, uniform mender, costume creator, and cooker for the masses. She organized Christmas parties for the children of Elks Club members and Boy Scout floats for parades. She chaperoned school trips and made sure the concession stand was stocked with pizza. She was involved with football, ballet, scouts, music lessons, basketball, baseball, and any number of activities 4 kids, 7 grandkids, and a great-grandkid can get into. Her favorite activities included spending time with family, gardening, listening to the OSU and Riverside marching bands play Hang On Sloopy, teaching her grandchildren how to bake, playing cards and board games, betting on NASCAR races with her grandsons, and taking her granddaughters to tea parties. She was a heck of a woman, and we miss you very much, Mom. And yes, I've got a hanky in my pocket. Okay, let's finish with a tune that has become a jazz classic.
Su finisci la coi baci per Moruccio birichi, ma non vedi tu la luna che dal ciel fa capolin, lascia pur la luna spir, noi lasciamo la spira, anzi il pallido scorraggio chi consiglia seguita, ma poi chissà cosa dirà e vi dirà quel che
there's a song you've heard several times on this show, Chitty Bitty Bean, written by Alberto Pestalozza and Carlo T. O'Shea. And there you have selections from a non-existent Botticelli family singers singing Italian favorites for a budget label. So thanks for tuning into Volume 176 for Mama on Mother's Day, however you did. If you want more information about this show, head over to spinningmydadsvinyl.com. I'll be back next week with all my skips, scratches, and pops for Volume 177, Sammy, Record 2. Until then, go with the flow, my friends.